The first time I used alcohol, I was only 15 years old. I had an awesome experience and wanted another taste. But at that point, it didn't feel like a need. I became a social drinker without a care in the world. However, around the age of 17, depression hit. And the only thing that made the pain go away was getting drunk and making really bad decisions. I'll never forget the night I became addicted to marijuana. And yes, from personal experience, I can tell you that marijuana is addictive. I'll never forget the night I became a drug addict. I was experiencing severe dark depression, and I had gotten into a fight with a roommate. I went out that night with an acquaintance to take some space, and she passed me a joint. I had tried it only once before depression and borderline personality disorder hit. Within the first 30 seconds after the first puff, poof, all of my pain just drifted away. I had found my painkiller. I was totally hooked. I abused the drug marijuana for years. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, and it was the only thing that made the flashbacks and the pain go away. After hitting another trauma, my drug use really got away from me. From my own experience and speaking with professionals, I can say that trauma is one of the leading causes of addiction. It's an effective way of running away from it all, until it isn't. I really lost control, and it got away from me. I knew I needed to quit, to get clean. I tried to do it on my own, but failed repeatedly. I reached out to rehab, but was turned away. You had to be clean of all drugs for 30 days in order to be admitted. I looked into detox, but was also turned away, because marijuana withdrawal was more psychological than physical. I was able to successfully stay clean for a couple of weeks on my own, but then I came across something that triggered my PTSD. It was all too much, and I didn't know how to handle it without drugs. I took a handful of pills that weren't mine to consume, the only drugs I could get my hands on. I wasn't familiar with the drug and didn't pay attention to the dosage. I got myself to the hospital and overdosed in the emergency room. I was told after the fact that the dosage I took could have easily taken my life. I remember vomiting so hard that I was dripping in sweat, wondering if I was going to die. I felt relief after the worst of it was over and prayed with gratitude that I made it through. The internist admitted me to the hospital, as he had concerns that I did permanent damage to my heart. For 3 full days, my ECG and blood work came back as abnormal, and it terrified me. On day 3, I broke down in tears and prayed, bargained that if my heart healed and I got back out into the world, I promised to never do drugs again. I have very deep veins, and lab technicians can have trouble finding one if I'm dehydrated. The technicians couldn't find one, and they told me they would call their boss, who they called the vein guru. She felt for veins instead of looking for them. I'll never forget watching her walk into the room. She had an amazing glowing orb surrounding her. It didn't take long for her to find a vein, and while she was withdrawing my blood, I had the most amazing cooling sensation from head to toe. Within 45 minutes, the internist told me that all my test results came back normal, and I would be released the next morning. That has played a central role in keeping me sober. I don't think I'd be lucky a second time. This is a little something called a true miracle, and it was originally published in the SAS Today newspaper, and you will find the link below. I called and they told me they just didn't have a bed. It's a true miracle that I am not dead. Addiction and mental illness, you can't treat one without the other. When you first start getting sober, depression sets in. Why do I even bother? Addiction and mental illness are not just on the street. It's happening in your own backyard, even if you keep your lawn so very nice and neat. This illness doesn't discriminate based on class, race, or gender, whether you're drinking under a bridge or hiding it behind your power. This whole situation is not financially sound. 3 nights of being monitored in case my heart ceased to pound. This did not have to happen. I reached out for help, and the resources, they weren't there. They weren't there. This did not have to happen. Because I called and they told me they didn't have a bed. It's a true miracle that I am not dead.